What is it, the PSMF?
PSMF stands for Pharmacovigilance System Master File. People often joke that it also stands for potential source of major findings, because it really is. It's probably the first document that the inspector will look into when they come to inspect you, and you really need to ensure that everything is top-notch in this document, because it is basically a reflection of your PV system.
Okay, so it's not a document that you create once and file away. It's something that has to be continuously maintained, right?
Yeah, basically, you need to define the periodicity of how often you would like to update your PSMF. If you would be a new up and rising pharmaceutical company, you would probably update it more often because your PV system is still in the phase of development. And then if the portfolio is stable, if there's no new organized data collection systems or anything like that, you can make a decision to reduce the periodicity. But generally, people and companies tend to do it at least quarterly basis. That's kind of like not really a written rule, but that's more of an industry standard that we go by.
Like gold standard of companies.
Yeah, let's say like that.
What does it take to ensure a high quality PSMF?
Well, first thing, you need to have SOPs in place. You need to have a process, how often you will update the PSMF, who will do it, how does it start, how does it end, and to have everything well documented. But on top of that, what I feel like is very important is to have a right culture within the company about the importance of PSMF and some sense of ownership of the document. Because at some point you need to get on board people from regulatory, people from marketing, medical, and all other departments that are contributing into the PSMF to actually give you the data, because you as a PV specialist or a professional cannot be aware of everything that's happening in the company. And this is actually the point of PSMF, to have a clear picture of your company, how it works, and how it ensures patient safety.
Yeah, it sounds like hard work to ensure for everyone that this is really important document, not just before the inspection, but all time.
Yeah, that's right, because it can happen that people get carried away by their daily tasks, and PSMF somehow gets deprioritized. And then there comes inspection announcement, and everyone's freaking out, rushing to collect the contributions from everyone to do it as fast as possible. So yeah, that's why we need to ensure it's updated regularly, that everyone stays on top of it, that every change coming from portfolio enlargements or new organized data collections, that everything is reflected in the PSMF at all times.
And do you think this is the reason why to outsource the PSMF?
Yeah, it's a very good idea to outsource it, because then you are ensuring that there is someone that's going to take over the whole coordination of PSMF update, because it really is, let's say, sort of a project management thing also. You need to align all people, you need to communicate deadlines for everyone, because if you are in the process of updating the PSMF, and then once the deadline for contributor ends, and it's a very important information that you should have included in the PSMF, it's a problem. So if you are doing on top of that case processing, if you're writing a PSUR, you have other meetings to attend, there's multiple tasks that you have to focus on. PSMF, as part of, let's say, inspection preparation, sometimes gets deprioritized. And in case you are outsourcing this, there is someone that's really taking care, it's a PSMF as a priority, and it will at all times be at the highest quality.
As you said, it's similar to project management stuff. So I would say that I can confirm that, definitely. And this is the reason why we have a dedicated like PSMF administrator, and it's not performed by a project manager, because it really requires focus and have a process in place for that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It takes time. It takes a lot of also people collaborations. It takes meetings. You would, for example, get a question from a contributor, let's say a new person to the company. they've been just passed over this task to contribute to the PSMF. You need to have time to train them on what is actually expected from them, what's the meaning behind PSMF, why is it important, and sort of to paint the mindset of how they should be thinking in a way of what is really required in the PSMF. And it's not always that the more the merrier. It's sometimes we should select on what information goes to the PSMF.
Yeah, you really need to filter.
Yeah. We need critical thinking for sure. It has to be PV related. We don't need the list of all possible vendors a company has. We need those that are PV related.
Yeah. Okay, and how many PSMF you manage right now?
Currently, I would say we're getting closer to 30.
Wow.
Yeah, 30 can really sound like a lot, but it depends actually how you process and manage the PSMF. You can manage a PSMF as a single document. So the whole thing gets updated at all times together. And then you can also have, let's say, a modular approach to the PSMF where each section or each annex or sub-annex of the PSMF acts as a standalone document. And then when you present this to the inspector, you actually present the package of documents. And then when you have this modular approach, you can kind of combine what is relevant for all of your territories where marketing authorization holder is present, and then some that are territory specific. So you can basically maintain one document, let's say, one PSMF, but in reality, it could cover 20 countries. So at some point, if you have 15 PSMFs or you have 45 PSMFs, it doesn't really matter because you are following the same process for both numbers. And as long as you don't update with each PSMF all the information about your local QPPV in a certain country and then local QPPV in another country, you don't need to touch these documents. And then you focus only on the core part of the PSMF, which is applicable to all of your country-specific PSMFs. And the update goes in a very efficient way, even though the numbers might seem kind of scary.
And this is probably what every one of us needs, right? The efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. And it's called global PSMF management. It's not something that every marketing authorization holder needs, especially if it's a very small company in a very limited territory, for example, just the EU or just the UK. But as you expand as a company to new territories, you can really look into the modular approach of PSMF maintenance and do it in a more, let's say, complex way, but a more efficient way.
Besides efficiency and high quality, is there any other benefit by to outsource PSMF?
I would say additional very big benefit is our regulatory knowledge. We are always staying on top of GBP module updates, any EU implementing regulations, all the country-specific requirements for all of our PSMFs. We are monitoring this on a weekly basis. We are doing impact assessment on our processes, and then we are immediately informing our clients if there is a change. And compliance that you get from our regulatory knowledge is a big plus.